2.3 Talking with clients about money. My talking points. One of the hardest things everyone struggles with is talking about money, knowing what to charge, asking for payments, or requesting a deposit. Yet, when you know how to do these things with ease, then getting paid seems as easy as breathing or signing your own name. Confidence in your pricing and talking about it transforms an awkward transaction into a professional standard that commands respect and ensures your business thrives. The secret lies in realizing that money is not a favor the client does for you, but a neutral exchange of value that deserves a clear process. By mastering a few specific talking points, you shift the conversation from an awkward negotiation to a professional standard, ensuring that both you and the client are protected and aligned before the first hour of work even begins. Never rush the sale. For these very good reasons. One of the most expensive mistakes professionals make is talking about money too early. Rushing the sale feels productive. It feels efficient. It feels like you are moving things forward. In reality, it often locks you into underpricing your work. When you quote before you fully understand the scope, you price blindly. And blind pricing usually favors the client, not you. Let the client talk first. Before discussing price, let the client explain everything they want. Encourage detail, ask follow-up questions, clarify expectations. The more they describe, the clearer the scope becomes, and the stronger your position will be when quoting. Professionals listen longer than amateurs. If you interrupt to talk about price too soon, you signal insecurity. Clients interpret urgency around money as neediness, and neediness weakens leverage. For example, you might say, "What would you like me to do for you regarding X project? Do you have any ideas on what you'd like help with? Tell me what you're thinking. Do you have any examples you could show me and then tell me what you like about them?" Pile it up before you price it. Have clients outline all desired deliverables before discussing numbers. Encourage them to create a written list if necessary. A clear list becomes your justification for pricing. When clients see the full scope in writing, higher numbers feel reasonable, not surprising. If you quote halfway through the conversation, you will almost always miss additional work that should have increased your fee. For example, you might say, "Is that all you want me to do for you? Is there anything else? Let's look at all the things you've said you wanted done and let's see if that covers everything or if there's anything else you forgot." Explain the work in detail. Before revealing the price, explain what the work truly involves. Break down phases, research time, communication, revisions, testing, and execution. When clients understand effort, they understand cost. Clarity reduces resistance. If clients believe the job is simple, they will resist paying your professional rates. If you do not define the complexity, they will define it for you by saying, "Oh, it must be easy to do. Why do I have to pay so much? How long does it really take you to do XYZ service?" In any case, bore them to tears with all you have to do for them so they realize and respond by saying, "Oh, I didn't know it took that long. I'm sorry for prejudging. Okay, I have no problem paying your fee after you explained all that you have to do to help me." The power of the pause. Once you present your price, stop talking. Silence is uncomfortable, especially around money. Let it work in your favor. The first person to fill the silence often gives up leverage. Deliver your fees calmly and allow some silence after you're done. Over-explaining after quoting sounds like justification. Justification sounds like doubt. Doubt invites negotiation. A great sales trainer once taught me, when you close a sale, you close your mouth, and then you close the door, or hang up the phone, end the Zoom call, etc. In other words, say nothing that would stop the client from making that single decision and say, "Yes, let's do this. I'll hire you and pay you to help me," or I changed my mind and I'm not going to use your services. Your saying nothing at all allows the client all the time they need to think about their decision, to move forward with you, pay you, and be done with your call. And in that moment of you pausing, could actually do the opposite and interrupt their wonderful train of thought. Oh, which is to hire you and pay you. Don't show too much excitement. Don't talk a lot. Shut up. Let the client do all the thinking, talking, and agreeing with your terms. It's like being out on a date for the first time. You remember those times, right? The less you say, the better off you'll be in most cases. Sure, talk, speak, ask questions, but don't come off like some rambling idiot talking all about what you could do or how excited you are to get this deal. No. Shut up. Pause, and let the client come forward with a simple, yes, I'd like you to perform X service. Simple. Done. Now, collect your deposit and get to work. Always discuss money at the end. Keep this ratio in mind, 90-10. Talk about the client's needs 90% of the time, and your fees and what you charge 10% of the time. That 90% allows you to gather a lot of information about the client's needs and to pile high their wish list of things they'd like you to do for them. When you honor this ratio of time 90-10, you also don't turn the client away by talking about money too much. Pricing should end with a conversation, not begin it. Even if they press for your fees, don't give in just yet. Tell them, I can't really quote any price without hearing what work is involved yet. When clients feel heard and understood, they are more receptive to discussing payment. Patience increases perceived value. Rushing reduces it. Professionals do not rush. They gather information, define scope, clarify deliverables, and then present their fees with confidence and precision. The sale is not rushed. It is structured. By taking your time and finding out exactly what the client needs, you can spend some time reiterating what the client wanted to hire you for. For example, so what I've heard on this call is you'd like X done and Y done, and then Z done, and you also want A, B, and C, and 1, 2, 3. Is that correct? Now each of those items will, and you go into detail about each of those things the client wants done. When you're done repeating what the client wants, then it's time to talk about your fees and what it will cost. By that time, the client is thrilled to have heard all you're going to do them. This helps them get excited to pay you. Yes, excited. By then, toward the very end, they're just as excited to pay you our deposit, so you'll get started right away. The sooner you start, the sooner they have what you'll do for them. So, the sooner they pay you and with a smile on their face as well. The wish list technique for setting your price for work. If you want to increase your income without raising your rates, master this technique. It is simple, it is powerful, and most professionals never use it. Before you quote a project, have the client create a complete wish list of everything they want done. Not a vague overview, not a quick summary, a detailed list. The more they articulate, the clearer the scope becomes, and the stronger your pricing position will be. Why the wish list works. When clients speak in generalities, pricing feels uncertain. When clients write specifics, pricing becomes logical. A written list turns abstract ideas into measurable deliverables, and measurable deliverables justify higher fees. The wish list technique does 3 things. Number 1, it expands scope clarity. Number 2, it increases perceived complexity. Number 3, it reduces resistance to pricing. When a client sees 10 separate tasks written out, the price no longer feels like a single number. It feels like compensation for effort. If you price based on vague conversation, you will undercharge. Clients rarely remember everything they asked for until after you've quoted too low. How do you introduce the wish list? After your initial discussion, say something like, "This has been a great conversation. Why don't you take some time and write out everything you'd like accomplished? Include all ideas, even small ones. With that list in front of me, I can provide you the most accurate quote possible. This accomplishes two important things. First, it slows the process down, which increases authority. Second, it moves responsibility for clarity back to the client. You are not guessing. You are responding. Now, if you guess what they want, you will own the mistake. If they write what they want, they own the clarity. How do you turn the list into leverage? When you receive the list, read it back to them. Confirm each item. Clarify expectations. Add professional recommendations they may not have considered. Every additional item increases scope and properly increases price. For example, so you're looking for a new website, integrated email marketing, SEO optimization, analytics setup, and monthly maintenance. Is that correct? When they say yes, you have justification. Now your quote is anchored in their words, not your assumptions. If you rush to impress instead of clarify, you'll lock yourself into extra work for free. How do you add professional enhancements? Often, clients only think about what they understand. Your expertise allows you to suggest additions that improve results. You might say, based on what you're describing, I would also recommend performance tracking and conversion optimization. When you suggest enhancements calmly, you position yourself as strategic, not salesy. What's more, strategic professionals command higher fees. Now, if you don't introduce additional value, someone else will, and they will collect that revenue instead of you. The psychological shift wishlist technique changes the emotional temperature of pricing. Instead of you announcing a number out of thin air, you are responding to documented scope. It feels structured. It feels fair. It feels professional. Clients resist arbitrary numbers. They rarely resist structured reasoning. When should you avoid the wish list? For very small, fixed scope services, a wish list may be unnecessary. If the deliverable is clearly defined and standardized, you may present a flat rate immediately. Use judgment, but for anything custom, strategic, or layered, use the technique. The larger the project, the more dangerous it is to skip scope documentation. In closing, the wish list technique is not manipulation. T is clarity. It protects you from underpricing, it protects the client from misunderstanding, and it transforms pricing from awkward to structured. Professionals do not rush to quote. They gather information, document scope, and price with confidence. Positioning before pricing and showcasing your previous work. Before you say the number, you must shape the perception. Pricing without positioning is dangerous. When you present a fee without first explaining value, the client hears only the cost, not the context. Professionals position first, then they price. Explain the work in detail. Before revealing your fee, walk the client through what the project truly involves. Break it down into phases. Mention research, planning, execution, revisions, testing, communication, and refinement. The more clearly you define the work, the more justified your number becomes. People pay for understanding, not mystery. If clients believe the project is simple, they will resist professional pricing. If you do not define the complexity, they will define it for you, and they will define it cheaply. Translate features into outcomes. Do not only describe what you will do, describe what the client gains. Instead of saying, I will redesign your website, say, we'll rebuild your site to increase clarity, trust, and conversion rates. Outcomes anchor value, tasks anchor labor. Value wins over labor every time. If you frame your work as tasks, clients will compare you to cheaper task doers. If you frame it as outcomes, they compare you to strategists. Establish effort without complaining. You can explain effort without sounding defensive. For example, this process typically requires 20 to 30 hours across strategy, development, revisions, and optimization. You are not justifying. You are informing. Informed clients are less resistant clients. Over-explaining effort after revealing your price sounds like justification. Justification signals insecurity. Explain first. Price second. Anchor the scope before the number. Summarize everything the client requested before stating your fee. For example, so we're looking at a full website rebuild, integrated email marketing, SEO optimization, analytics setup, and a 90-day launch strategy. Based on that scope, the investment will be $8,500. Notice the structure: scope, pause, price. That order matters. If you announce your price without anchoring scope, the client hears only the number. If you anchor scope first, they hear the reasoning. The calm delivery. When you present your fee, do so calmly. Do not rush. Do not apologize. Do not soften the number with nervous laughter or disclaimers. Deliver it as a matter-of-fact statement. Silence afterward is powerful. Let the client respond. The first person to fill the silence often gives up leverage. If you immediately start discounting or explaining after stating your price, you weaken your position before the client even reacts. Reframing price as investment. Language matters. Instead of calling it a cost, refer to it as an investment. Instead of charging, say the investment for this project is. These are not gimmicks. They are framing tools. Framing influences perception. If you treat your pricing like an expense, clients will treat it like something to reduce. If you treat it like an investment, clients evaluate return. Closing thought. Positioning before pricing is not manipulation. It is clarity. It ensures the client understands what they are paying for before hearing the number. When understanding comes first, resistance drops. When resistance drops, negotiation decreases. And when negotiation decreases, you get paid properly. Professionals do not blurt out numbers. They build context, define value, and then present pricing with calm confidence. Handling objections without discounting. When a client pushes back on price, most people flinch and drop their rate. Professionals do the opposite. They reaffirm the value while offering to adjust the scope. The best way to handle an objection without discounting is to treat the price as a fixed reflection of the work required. If the price is too high for their budget, the work must change, not your value. What's more, who knows best how much it costs for you to perform X service, you or the client? In this case, the client simply needs to be informed as to why you charge what you do. The client does not know any better. So, educate them. Strategic response frameworks. Strategic response frameworks are pre-planned mental models, or scripts, used to navigate difficult business conversations without losing your cool or your profit. Number 1, the scope pivot, best for budget constraints. Script. I understand that X is above your current budget. To get us closer to your target, we can remove, or while still focusing on your core goal of why it works. It keeps your hourly project rate intact while showing you are a partner in their success. Number 2, the ROI reframe, best for value skeptics. Script. I hear your concern about the cost. However, based on this investment is designed to generate, which typically pays for itself within why it works. It shifts the conversation from a cost, money lost, to an investment, money earned. Forbes emphasizes that value is always relative to the problem you are solving. And number 3, the payment terms. Alternative. Script. If the total is the issue, we can break this into 3 milestone payments of Y. This keeps the project moving without a large upfront hit to your cash flow. Why it works? It solves the client's liquidity problem without you losing a single cent of your total fee. The professional reality. If you discount immediately, you tell the client 2 things. 1, your first price was a lie, you were padding it. 2, you are willing to be pushed around in the future. By standing firm on your rate, you establish leverage and ensure you don't end up resentful of the work. According to Entrepreneur, the goal is to sell the value, not the price.